Hi, everybody. It's Christina, and this is episode 347 of the DIY Musician podcast. I know that this week looks a little bit different. Last week, we found out that Chris Robley is no longer joining us on the podcast, and we're all bummed. I'm bummed. I've known Chris for 8 years. We've worked together, we've traveled together, we've spoken on panels and planned conferences together, and he's awesome. And the thing is that this podcast has been in running for 15 years, serving the independent music community, and I feel a sense of responsibility to keep it going, to carry the torch forward. And I know that I'm not Kevin and I'm not Chris, but I am a musician, and I think that there's some insight that I can offer. But more importantly, I think I know a lot of amazing people that I'd love to interview for this podcast. So if you'll have me, I'd like to keep the torch going. I'll reintroduce myself for those of you that don't. My name is Cristina Cano. I live in Santa Monica, California. I'm a musician. I have been for 20 plus years. I work at CD Baby. At CD Baby, I have planned the DIY Musician conferences. I have spoken on the DIY Musician podcast and written blog articles. I've used to run the social media. So I know a lot about independent music, and it's my passion. It's everything that I love to do, and it's everything that I love to advocate for. More importantly, I love meeting other independent artists, hearing their journeys, hearing what it is that made their careers tick or where you are on your journey. So, one thing that I'd really like to focus on in this next chapter of the podcast is hearing more from you. I want to know you. I want to talk to you. I want to interview you. So, let's keep that going. I know that this is going to be different, and I know that change can be hard sometimes, but I guarantee that the DIY Musician podcast needs to keep happening, and I would like to keep that happening for you. So if you'll have me, I'm your new podcast host. Now, that does mean that the format's going to be a little bit different from time to time. It may not always be just banter for 2 hours or an hour or whatever, but it could just be me interviewing somebody, or it could be one of my lovely coworkers interviewing somebody. For example, this episode, we're going to have Jack interviewing BARii, an incredible musician with amazing insight about their journey. So let's hear it. Thanks, you guys.
You're listening
to the CD Baby
CD Baby
DIY
Musician Podcast.
Yo, BARii, what's up, man?
I'm sorry for the technical difficulties I had over here. Hello, how you doing?
No worries, man. I'm great. Things happen,
Man,
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Literally just got off the plane a few hours ago, back from New York. So I'm excited to be here with you.
Nice. Yeah, man. I'm excited to have you. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
Where are you calling in from now?
So I'm back in LA now.
Okay.
I moved to LA last year from New Jersey. So yeah, it's my first full year in LA.
Cool, man. Cool. How's that going?
Oh, it's pretty good. I mean, it's
Yeah.
been great. It's nonstop working, collaborating with a bunch of great artists out here. A lot more sync placements. So I'm just excited. About
man.
being here.
That's great, dude. Yeah, I know you're pretty involved in the sync world, so I'm really interested in that for sure. But we'll get there. We'll get there. I think, one of the main reasons why I have you here is to really just kind of hone in on that sort of turning point in your music career, that spark moment. But leading up to that, I think it'd be cool to just kind of hear your story, kind of where you started with music. So if you want to start there, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off as a rapper, as most people in my community does, and I just was horrible. I was the worst rapper possible. I couldn't get beats or tracks from any of the producers that I knew, and I decided that maybe I should try to make beats instead. Maybe I should try to be a producer instead. That will help me out to get beats. So I began doing that. Just working on my craft as a producer and just learning everything I could about being a producer, so I can make my own beats as a rapper. So eventually, I realized that rapping wasn't for me, and I just became a songwriter. I thought that songwriting was something that, I already was really good storyteller, so I thought that I should just switch over to being a songwriter. And that's what I did. And I started to teach myself how to sing, how to play piano, how to play drums. And I just kind of grabbed all these different skill sets and just put it all into one. And then eventually started writing for others, and the story continues. But yeah, that my humble beginnings were was being a rapper, a bad rapper.
Well, you say you're a bad rapper. I doubt you're worse than I am at rapping. We'll just. So you're in New Jersey at the time. Did you grow up in New Jersey?
Yes, I grew up all my life in New Jersey, on the Jersey Shore, South Jersey to be exact. And yeah, that's where I started my music journey. Yeah, all my life, that's where I was.
Did you feel like there was a lot of opportunity there, or not really?
Zero opportunity. There's no opportunity in the town that I grew up in at all. There was a lot of great musicians, but no opportunities at all. So what I had to do was hop on the bus and go to Manhattan, which is where
Mm.
all the opportunities were at the time. And that's how I started to get into the industry a little bit. Started building relationships by going back and forth to Manhattan and started meeting people. So that was really how I got in.
Yeah. Were you like pitching your beats or collaborating with people, or how did it kind of start to gain some momentum?
Yes, it's a combination of both. I started to pitch a lot of my beats a lot of to all the labels, any label I could find, and I just kept getting the same response from the labels and the artists, that they just thought my music was too different at the time. I wasn't doing the radio friendly stuff, so I was failing on getting placements. I didn't get any placements, and no one wanted to use any of the stuff I was doing. So instead of being a songwriter forever or just a producer, I began to switch into artist mode as I
Hmm.
realized that maybe some of these songs are not good for the people I'm pitching for, but they might be better for me as an artist. So I started to get into that journey of releasing music and that whole process.
And then you're just releasing it on your own. No
Yes,
outside help.
no outside help. Didn't know what I was doing at all. Didn't have the proper artwork. Uh, Lyrics wasn't there. I just was releasing music. It wasn't even mixed and mastered, and just making a bunch of early on mistakes that everyone else makes. So no success from that at all.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's not professional. It wasn't good. So it just, yeah, no success from
So
that
was
at
it
all.
your own motivation to just keep going? I mean, were you feeling, did you ever feel like you might want to stop because you weren't getting
Uh,
any traction?
I would say no, because on the production side, I was making really, really good production. And I knew it was good because the people that I was sharing it with in the community, their response from it was that this is good if it gets tightened up. It has potential to be really, really good. And I noticed that. And as I started to become a better songwriter and understand how to create songs, that kind of motivated me. That continuous learning kind of motivated me to continue going.
Nice, nice. So you're making music, putting it out there. Was there any moment where you felt like, okay, this might be something I could do for a career? Was it a collaboration or anything, any moment that you felt this could be a real thing that you could do going forward?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I started to realize that if I mixed what I was doing as this kind of unique type of music thing with a combination of what was going on currently, that if I combine the two, then it will work for me. So I started to realize the labels were starting to now kind of liken the music that I was doing. Once I started to integrate that, and I realized that like if I just make sure everything is clean and professional, then it will work. At some point, it will work. Maybe not song one, but song 20. One of these songs will work eventually because I'll just keep on grinding at it, and it will work eventually. Um, a lot of people don't know this, but I used to go by a completely different name when I was releasing my first batches of music. And it was just like this facade that wasn't really me. It was just kind of a stage thing I was putting on. And then once I changed my name to BARii, which is my original name, that's when the music started, people started gravitating to the music and started understanding what it was. And I think that was my biggest turning point when I did the rebrand of changing my name and just being myself, rather than this performance thing. I think that's when
Sure.
everything opened up for me.
Kind of took the mask off. And and showing people your authenticity. And I'm sure they could feel that.
Absolutely. I think that was the exact turning point because from the time that I released my first song under BARii, I was getting playlisted, I was getting traction from it. The very first song that I released under my name, literally the
And
very first song.
what made you decide to switch it up and use your own name?
Because I just noticed that people like they weren't relating to me at all. Like it just wasn't. I wasn't getting the response that I needed. So I just felt like a drastic change like that may help. It was a long shot. I didn't know if it would help or not, but I don't know. It just worked. It just worked once I just began being myself and just putting it out there authentically, like you said. Being
Do
authentic.
you feel like your music changed a little bit once you started using your own name, or
The funny thing about it is it didn't change at all. It didn't change. It just became more. I would say it became more polished as the time
Mm,
grew. As I've been
sure.
releasing all those songs and seeing what I did wrong, it just became more polished. But it's the same sound that I was doing before, just under a different name.
Right. So maybe it was just more your internal being, right? After you're being
Yeah,
yourself, people
yeah,
just gravitate towards that. That's funny because
yeah.
I've been hearing that as I interview more and more artists. That's a common thing where their turning point is in conjunction with this sense of authenticity and being yourself. So,
Absolutely,
yeah, that's really cool.
absolutely. I agree with you for sure.
Right on, right on. So that was like sort of a turning point. So you're getting playlisted, you're getting some traction. Did you network in any way to start getting even more traction, kind of build upon that initial traction?
Yes, even the music that wasn't getting the response that I was looking for, I was still pushing that to different people, to different music supervisors, different television programs, and actually one of the songs that got barely 30 streams is the song that got me into the TV and film world, into the sync world, because it was heard by a music supervisor that then passed it along to her team. And that was how I actually got in that world.
Wow. Okay. So how did you, now I'm super interested in sync, so we'll dig into that a little bit
Yeah,
more.
absolutely.
How did you initially reach out? Did you just email them or?
Yeah, so I always knew that it was a person that handled putting music on TV. I just didn't know who it was. So I began just searching as many music supervisors as I found out the name was a music supervisor and just searched and I started sending the music out. Yes, I started emailing the music to different music supervisors and finding out what projects they actually were a part of and making music that sounded like the projects that they were working on. And that's how I started to get placements by kind of having that sound for whatever show they were working on. It made it easier for them to use the music because they already were looking for that anyway.
Right.
So that
Now,
was my first entry point.
how did you find out what they were working on and find their contact information?
Yeah, so at the end of every show, there's always credits. There's always
Yeah.
credits at the end of the show, and I used to just watch. And anytime that it said anything that had to do with music, I always would just jot the person's name down, and then just spend hours just researching who this person was and what they did. And then eventually, you kind of put it all together, and you see that this person works on whatever projects they're working on, and then you just kind of try to reach out and find their contact information, and that's literally what I did. Just found their contact information online and just kept doing it until one of them worked.
Nice, nice. Now, was that like an IMDb search or
Yes, all of the above,
okay.
all of the above.
Did you ever pay for any tools to find out any contact information, or was it just you digging?
I would say yes, I did. I don't remember the site that I used, but I tried everything. I
Yeah.
tried anything that I could think of. I tried it all.
Hmm.
And I recommend not using the paid sites now that I'm actually in the industry because I understand that those are all they're not legit as they say.
Sure.
Those people are already they already have a batch of people that they work with, and they're not really necessarily looking for outside indie artists that much unless you have an actual relationship with them. So I would
Sure.
advise people not to really use that as much as possible.
Right on, right on. So there must have been that. So you said there's that first placement, right?
Yes.
How did that come about? I mean, you reached out. Did you have a lot of people like not respond? I assume that you maybe were sending lots of emails and nobody was responding.
No one responded. I got one response. I got one response out of thousands of emails that I sent
Oh.
out. Yeah, it was a lot. It was excessive. Like it was a lot. It was excessive for sure. The amount of emails that I sent out. But I didn't have any other options. I didn't know what else to do besides reach out. So I got one response, and that's actually the lady that I work with still today.
Wow.
And she's huge in my career as far as sync placements and opportunities in that world. So yes, that one person that responded was the person that
One response.
took my
Wow.
career. Yeah.
That's rad. So what was that? So what was the song and what was the placement you got?
Yeah, so the song was called what was the song name now? I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Spend the Day. The song was called Spend the Day. I released it through whatever, I don't know who I released it with, and it's now down. I took it down obviously because it got placed and I wanted to have it fully on only sync and stuff. So I took the song down. Yeah, so that was the first song, and then after that, they actually wanted to have the beat separate. So they synced the song and then they wanted to sync the beat as a separate thing with changes. So then they realized that I'm able to produce as well, and that's what got me into producing a bunch of tracks for the different shows. Because at first I was just sending full songs, but then the production is really what got me into the lane of the sync placements.
Did you know to have like stems ready, or did you have to scramble to get the beat separated, or you did it all yourself so you could just
Yeah,
export it real quick?
yeah, I did it all myself, so I already knew that at some point they would need stems because if they're going to mix it or whatever they're going to do, at some point I would need stems. So luckily, I was smart enough to have that available for them because with sync they move very quickly. Everything
hmm
is they need it today, right now. So luckily, I was able to have the stems ready to go.
Yeah, so that's super important to just be able
Yes,
to turn that around on a dime.
absolutely.
Um, so okay, so you're getting your first sync placement, and um, you've created this relationship with a music supervisor that you have today,
Yes.
and so I imagine then you're getting more and more placements from that initial relationship, huh?
Yes, because I will also say that from that first placement, it was tons of tracks and songs that I sent in that didn't get placed within that time. And I was trying to figure out why I got the first placement, but everything else I sent in wasn't getting placed. And there's certain formats that you have to have your music in for sync. For TV, it has to be a certain way that it's just formatted for television and film that I wasn't having it. Like for instance, like endings, like my song would just fade out. And if they're using a song that's transitioning from one scene to another, they might need the song to actually go in smoothly. And I was just fading it out on everything that I was doing. So none of them got placed. So once I realized that, I'm like, okay, if I adjust it a little bit, maybe I can get more placements. And that's what happened. I adjusted it to work for TV and film, and then all the placements started coming from then
Wow.
forward. Over 110 sync placements to date from
Wow.
that moment. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Now you mentioned that you took your song down to kind of focus it on sync. Is that something that you still do today? If you
No.
No, okay. So it's not something that
That,
you
yeah.
recommend removing it
Yes.
from streaming. Okay.
That was a bad idea. That was just inexperience and not understanding the business of it. And I thought that once it goes on TV, that's the only place it can live. It can't live anywhere else. And it's actually the complete opposite. You want it to live in both places because if someone hears it on the television show or movie, whatever it is, they might want to go back and listen to it again on their own.
Yeah.
And people didn't have the opportunity to ever listen to it again because I took it down, which is
hmm
something I would never recommend anyone do at
Yeah.
all.
Right. Right. Now, would you say that because you've racked up millions of streams on your own songs
Yes,
at this
yes.
point, which is really awesome to see. Um, would you say that sync has had a lot to do with that? Is it specifically songs that got synced and then they started getting traction, or is it people know you from certain songs that got synced and so your other songs are getting traction, or is it kind of all the above?
I think it's a combination of all of the above, honestly. But I will say, uh, no, that's a hard question actually, because I don't really know. I can't really tell you exactly why, because honestly, the traction I've been getting has came from just I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. I couldn't answer that question straight. That's one of the
Well,
questions I can
let
never
me
answer
ask you
straight.
this. Michael is a pretty. I love that song, by the way.
Thank you,
It's super
thank you.
rad. That has over 3 million streams. Did that ever get synced? I know you collaborated on that, right?
Never got synced. That song never
Okay.
got synced. So I would say like songs like the song I have Tangerine, which is I think my second biggest one, that got synced after I released it. So I would say that I would say that the sync stuff really didn't help with my artist stuff at all. Not
Oh,
yet.
okay.
Not
Now,
yet. I don't think so.
would you say your artist stuff was influenced or helped by collaborations, or can you pinpoint anything that's helped some of those songs be successful?
Yeah, it's always a collaborative effort. Music is always a collaborative effort, so I would have to say yes. Um, but just by me networking and moving around from New York to Nashville, like these different places, I think I skipped that whole part of me actually moving around as well before I got most of the same placements. And networking with people and then just taking little things and little nuggets from people, and that's what kind of made me hone in on my music and made my music better by grabbing little gems from other people. So yeah, the collabs are always the best thing to do to get your music better and out there.
Yeah, get in front of another audience, and that can
Absolutely.
really help. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I know you had this first music supervisor. Did she? I think I read that she introduced you to someone else that's also helped kind of push your career forward.
Yes. So she introduced me to a composer named Kurt Farquhar, which is he's a legendary composer. He's done so many big shows. And when I met him, he thought that I only was an artist. He didn't know that I actually did music as well, like composed and produced music as well. So once he saw that in me, he just began taking me under his wing and bringing me into the scoring realm of TV and film, which is something I didn't even know was a possibility. I thought that I was just going to do sync songs and that was it. But now he's brought me into the actual composing for screen, like on film. So yeah, that's been a whole nother separate journey that I haven't really even talked about.
Wow, wow. And so, how did he? What made him think you had that potential, or do you know? I mean, he just heard your productions and thought you had what
Yeah,
it takes to score.
yeah. From the song that he heard that got placed by the music supervisor, which they work hand in hand. They they're company together. So he thought it was unique enough to be able to be used for TV and film. It was something that he said that should be heard in television and film that wasn't being done. So he just said, if I bring you under my wing and teach you how to put this to picture, then you will be a really good composer as well, which is something I didn't know I was able to do either. And so, yeah, that was just his seeing my potential.
And you're still working with him today.
Yes, still today working with him
And
on
so,
all
and
these
you
major
say,
shows.
nice, nice. So you said he took you under his wing. Is he sort of? Do you see him as like a mentor for you, or?
Absolutely, absolutely. I see him as a mentor, as a friend. Um, he's introduced me to so many different major people in the industry, from the artist standpoint and from the composing standpoint. So I would definitely consider him as a major mentor and someone who's very pivotal in my music career. He pretty much changed my life from the things that he's done for me today.
So that's another kind of big spark moment for you then, just meeting him and
Absolutely,
wow,
absolutely,
cool, cool.
yes,
So I saw that you make original music for a really amazing show, The Proud Family on Disney.
yes, yes.
That's super awesome. How so when are you making instrumental music? Are you syncing some of your other songs with vocals, or is it a completely different process when you're working on Proud Family music?
Yeah, that's a completely different process because with animation, they build everything around the music. So they would have to have the music first, then animate. So a lot of the times they already have the script, they already have the scene, and they're saying this character is doing this, and we need music to complement that. And that's the focus. I have to make something that sounds like the show and that resonates with the character and children as well. So it's a combination of a lot of different things to make that really work to be synced for those type of shows.
And are you writing a lot of music for that? Are you getting a lot of placements in that?
Yes, yes. Last season, I believe I had five original songs on the show. This new season that's coming out, I believe I have two so far. But yeah, it's a hard that's a hard show to get placements on because it's very competitive with the people that are working on it. It's really great songwriters and producers and composers that are working on that show to get placements, and it's very competitive. So yes, I'm excited to even have the ones that I have now, to be
Right,
honest with
right.
you.
And are you singing on any of those, or are those all like score kind of instrumentals?
No, the characters are actually singing the lyrics.
Oh,
Which
nice.
makes it even
Okay.
more exciting. Yeah, the characters are actually singing the lyrics, so I do demos, in conjunction with, the composer or whoever is on the show with us, and yeah, they put the song with the animation, and yeah, they sing it. It's really cool.
That's really
Animation
cool.
is a great process.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Now is sync and that sort of thing, is that your main source of income with music these days?
Yeah, it's a combination of both. Yeah, I would say sync, yes, right now sync would be my main source of income. And then obviously making money from my streams and things of that nature as well. So it's a combination of both, honestly.
And
Yeah.
you're doing music full time these days?
Yes. I've been doing music full time for the last 5 years, actually. Full time for the last
Nice.
5 years. Yeah,
Nice.
ever since I changed my name over and that whole process, yeah, it's been 5 years. Been doing music full time.
Cool, man. And so what brought you out to LA? Is it easier to work on some of this stuff in LA, or easier to network, or anything in
Yeah,
specific?
I would say everything that has to do with television and film for post production is in LA. This is the place for everything. If you want to do anything with television and film, you have to be in LA.
So you
It's
felt like you
where
had to be there.
Yeah, I felt like it was no choice for me. It was right after the pandemic was over, everything kind of opened up, and I realized like if I'm going to continue to do stuff with TV and film, I have to move out of this New Jersey small town where there's no major studios, there's nothing going on here. I have to go there because a lot of things I was doing over Zoom, and after the pandemic, everything stopped with that. It just opened back up, so I had no choice. I really didn't.
Yeah, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Right on. So when you're writing songs these days, are you thinking about sync in the back of your mind always, or do you separate your own music? You know what I mean? Like, are you always
Yeah.
thinking about sync?
I was doing that at first, and I realized that I was making lower quality music by thinking of sync.
Hmm.
So once I realized that if you just create music and you just say, okay, this show sounds like the song I just made, then that's when you focus on the sync. But in the creation process, I stopped doing that because I was making music that just wasn't good, trying to focus on the sync placement and yeah, just making music and just fitting it for the show is better than trying to make it for the show, if that makes sense.
Sure, sure. So does that make it difficult then, like knowing that you're working on the Proud Family music? Is it harder for you to write that sort of thing when you know, like, okay, this needs to be? Do you write stuff specifically knowing that it should be
Yeah,
on the Proud Family? Is
yeah,
that
because
harder?
yes, it's very hard. They have it's called briefs. They're called briefs, and it's very
Okay.
specific on the scene and exactly what's happening in the scene and the animation. And you have to be very, very strategic to make sure you're hitting all of the points that they want for the song. Because song for like animation is supposed to be more of an experience and an additional character. So you have to always think about it in that way. So when I'm creating music for that, I'm in that mode only. So when I'm creating music for myself, I stick to that mode. So I always try to separate it for what I'm working on.
Right on. Yeah. And so, and you have these really awesome connections to music supervisors and stuff like that. Do you, oh, I know a lot of people work with sync licensing agents to help
Yes.
because they have the connections. Have you ever had to do that, or it's you using your own connections, or do you
Yes.
use a sync license?
Absolutely. I think all of the above is good. I think everything like that is good except for the paid stuff to me.
Uh-huh.
In my opinion, I think using the agencies, using libraries, sync libraries, all those things are helpful to getting placements
So you're
because
in all of those areas.
I'm in yeah, every area that has to do with it. I'm in every space.
Did you ever consider not working with the sync agent because they take like half of the money? Or
I
were you not
always
worried
thought
about
about
that?
I always thought about that as well, but then if you think about it, you could just create more songs. That's how I always looked at it.
Hmm.
I can always just go and record in my room or a studio and just make a bunch more songs. So all the thousands of songs that I have just sitting on my laptop, and it's those 50% is more than I had yesterday. So I just
Yeah.
consider it as just everything is available. I don't think, and that's what I was doing before too. And you lose a lot of revenue and you lose a lot of relationships by worrying about the financial part when you're just trying to get in. I think you should
Hmm.
be just worried about getting as much sync placements as possible in the beginning, and then the business will come and it will open up as you get more success. So you can't really
Hmm.
think about that when you're just starting out.
Yeah. And have you seen a wide range of placements as far as the money that they are giving you, like from all the way from $100 to who knows what?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And not just the music part, but there's an organization called SAG, and SAG also pays you for your vocal. So that's something completely separate. So I can get a placement for the song, for the music, and for my vocal. So sometimes I get paid four times for the same exact song that I got placed because my vocal is on it as well. So
Wow.
that's a whole nother thing that a lot of people don't even know about.
SAG, huh? Yeah, I hadn't heard
Yes,
about that.
it's called SAG.
Interesting.
Yep, Screen Actors Guild. Yes,
Oh, okay. And they're just paying you for the vocal part of the track.
yes, that's their job is to pay. They pay actors, they pay vocalists. But yeah, they pay you for the vocal part of the track.
Wow.
So the goal is to get a major theme song with your vocal on it and the music, because then they have to pay you a royalty for every single time that it plays, along with the original fee that they paid you the first time to come into the studio to record it. So
Have you
it's tons of ways to do it.
yeah, have you gotten a theme song?
I had a theme song, but unfortunately, with the writer's strike right now that's
Oh.
going on, they pulled the theme song away from me. But
Oh
I did
no.
have a major theme song. Yes, absolutely. But now that we know the formula of how to get it, now we can just continue to try to get another one.
Right, right. Cool.
Absolutely.
So, also I saw that you've been nominated or maybe have won some awards, right?
Yes, absolutely. So the current award that I'm up for right now is the Independent Music Awards in Hollywood. This is the second annual or first annual. It's a big show. They have red carpet. It's going to be amazing. So I'm nominated for Best Original Recording for my song YouTube. So I'm very, very excited about that. It's going to be a lot of major people there in the building. So it's going to be cool.
Now, I've never even thought about awards. I'm not there yet. Definitely not with my music, but do you have to like apply to that, or did somebody else nominate you, or how do you even like get in the running for an award like that?
Yeah, so last year, my mentor won the Lifetime Achievement Award at the award show,
Oh,
and they were talking about just independent artists and looking to help independent artists. So I just saw online that they were having this award show, and you can submit music. So I submitted like 10 songs to them, and they just happened to pick one of them that got nominated. So I was like, wow, okay, cool. So that worked. So yeah, that's how it happened.
and you've won some awards in the past as well.
Yes, I've won multiple. multiple film festival awards. I won the Buddy Holly Songwriting Award. I won the Songwriters Hall of Fame Curtis Mayfield Award. Um, so many more, so many more.
That's awesome, dude. Wow. Yeah, you're really building your own successful career. And it sounds like it really is like you had a lot of struggle, right? In the beginning of not getting
Oh yeah,
people not believing in you, but you just kind of broke through that. And
absolutely.
what keeps you going?
Um, the response I get from people when they hear my music. Literally yesterday, someone sent me a clip of their wedding, and my song was their like wedding song, the first dance song, and that stuff like that to me is like you can't put any price tag on anything like that. That's just like something that is beautiful. Like to see someone choose my song, an independent artist, out of all the songs they could have chose, they chose my song. And that stuff like that just warms my heart. So that just keeps me going. It just keeps me motivated to make more music and continue to release more music and also show people that you don't have to sign to a major label to have success. You can use CD Baby. You can use just independent. You can just be independent. Just stick to independence and just work that. It's going to be hard, but yeah, just try to work it until it works for you.
Yeah,
That's
I
how I
mean,
see
because
it.
you have to be everything when you're doing it yourself, right? Like you
Oh,
said
absolutely.
before, you didn't have the right album art, right? Before or whatever, and
Right.
now you just got to do everything. But we're all learning together, and it's like you said, it's really cool when someone chose your song because I don't remember the number, but there's thousands of songs that are released every single day. And the fact that they
Absolutely.
chose your song for their wedding dance, it's just that is what it's all about. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
That
great,
was
man.
such an amazing thing to experience, man. I never thought anyone would ever do that until I became like this big artist like Drake or somebody. Then I would think, oh yeah, they're using my song. But no, people just love good music. Sometimes
Hmm.
people just love good music, and it touches them so much that I don't know, man. Something such big as that as a wedding, they will use your song, and you have to keep going from there. Can't
Yeah,
stop. You can't at
yeah.
all.
Now, do you have a specific process of making music? Like every song's a similar process, or is it different every time?
It's different every time because now I've been trying to get more into collaborating with other producers. Because normally I produce a song, I write it, I mix it, do the cover art, the video, I edit the videos, I do everything. So now I'm starting to realize like you have to bring somebody else in to do this if you want to be successful. You can't do everything yourself. So now my process has been trying to make something myself. If that doesn't work out, then I'll reach out to another producer and see what they have, or go now. I'm in LA. I'll go to their studio and just work on something. That's what I've been doing lately, like collaborating a lot more than I was before.
And are you like cold emailing people, or you already have a network of people that you kind of reach out to?
No, no, I have a network of people. I don't like to
Okay.
code. Excuse me. I don't like to cold email anymore. I feel like now building relationships is way better than cold emailing. I think
Mhm.
always trying to like figure out ways to make an organic relationship is better than just cold emailing. None of us wants to get a random email or Instagram message saying, "Hey, I do music. Do you want to collab?" We don't want that all the time. We want somebody to organically build a relationship with us. Yeah, I just think that's the best way.
Yeah, and those are authentic relationships sound like that's really what skyrocketed your career, right? I mean,
Yeah,
meeting the music supervisor, meeting Kurt. Um,
absolutely,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
it's such a big thing is networking, and sounds like you know what you're doing there.
Absolutely. I think I skipped over that part too. I made it sound too easy, but I've done countless networking events. I've done random trips to LA before I knew anybody. Um, I just flew to Nashville without knowing anybody, just trying to figure out every way possible to get my music heard and build those connections with people. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to build that up. But once you get a solid relationship with someone, they're willing to help you out. And I think that's the same thing that happened with me with the DSPs, where I built relationship with people from Apple and Spotify. and now they support every time I release something. They'll support because I genuinely built a relationship and cared about what they were interested in, rather than me shoving my music down them. I think that's pretty much what helped me out with everything. It's building
Now,
genuine relationships.
when you say build a relationship, how do you go about that? I mean, or do you you probably don't go and say, "Hey, I have a song that I," like asking them for something. Is it usually like offering something that you have to them, or is it more of like, let's go have some drinks and just hang, or is there
Yeah,
anything specific? Yeah.
I think it's pretty much all of the above, honestly, because everyone's different. So some people are interested in, yeah, I have a song, I would love, yeah, send it to me. But some people are also interested in, let me get to know you first before I decide to support you. And a lot of time people don't realize, like, there's plenty of events that you can go to where all of these curators are always at. And if you go there and you just kind of, meet them and talk to them, they like that more than you just throwing your music in their DMs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I
Mm-hmm.
skipped that part as well of how many times, like, I've been to events where I just met people and didn't tell them I did music at all. Just met them and genuinely built relationships with them before I even played any music for them at all. And I think people's intention sometimes, they don't get the result that they want because their intentions are wrong from the beginning.
Right.
So
Right. And it only takes one relationship to then kind of snowball, which it sounds kind of that's what happened with you with Sync, right?
absolutely, that's literally what happened. Just building a genuine relationship and caring about the other person rather than caring more about getting my music on television. I mean,
Right.
like you said, there's thousands of songs that's released daily. So what makes you think that my song is better than all the other songs that they hear all the time? So me having that relationship with them, they're going to choose my song over someone who doesn't have a relationship with them all the time. Well,
Mm-hmm.
most circumstances, but yeah. So I think, like you said, building that relationship and being genuine will definitely help you out in the long run.
Right. Right. Now it sounds like a lot of your success has been based on your recordings. Do you do any live performances, or are you just strictly focused on recording music?
Yes, so the live performance thing is something that me personally, is a flaw of mine because I really need to get out there and start to get in that space as well, performing more. So I haven't done a lot of shows within the last couple of years. So that's something that I'll be definitely doing a lot more these coming years, these coming months for sure.
Right on. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like I make music by myself in my studio here, and I layer things, right? Play guitar, play some drums, do all the stuff.
Yeah,
And then I'm like, and I haven't been playing shows. I'm like, how do I even go and play a show? It's like there's different options, right? You
yeah,
could get a band
yeah.
together, you could loop, you could get backing tracks. How have you played in the past, and what's your future vision of your live show,
Yeah,
if you have
so
one?
yeah, absolutely. So since I'm mostly doing recordings, I do collaborate with a lot of musicians, guitar players, drummers. So I'm always asking them for favors if they will perform with me live, and most of them are eager to perform with me live because I don't do it often. So that's another thing. Taking your studio musicians and performing live with them might be actually a better thing to do when you're already collabing with them anyway. They already know the songs, they already know the music. So that's what I've been doing. I've been grabbing from the people I collaborate with and using them for performances on stage.
Nice, nice. So you're in LA. What do you got planned? Do you have any exciting things coming up?
Yes, absolutely. So now, so since we have this strike going on with television and film,
Mm,
I'm able to. This is actually a blessing in disguise because I'm now able to focus more on my original music. Working on the shows, getting the shows together, and I'm releasing my debut EP in a couple months. So I'm very very excited about that. To release that, and I think people are looking forward to hearing it. So this is the time where I'm just getting content ready. We're shooting videos. We're getting all the things ready right now. So when the time comes, it will be a nice rollout.
nice, nice. Well, dude, this has been an awesome conversation. I'm always so interested in sync. So this has been really insightful, and I think a lot of musicians can learn a lot from your experience, your journey. Why don't you just let us know, like, how do we find you? And
Yes,
okay.
at call me BARii with 2 eyes on all social media, YouTube, everything. You can find me at call me BARii.
Right
2
on, man.
eyes.
Right on. Thank you so much. This has been
Thank
awesome.
you. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, man. Happy Friday and enjoy the weekend.
Same to you, man.
All right. Later, BARii.
Thanks again. All right. Bye.